This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren, Power Tank, and Medical Gear Outfitters.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 317, SAR lighting before lockers.
Tonight, Aaron gets charged up, Jeremy sneaks away, and Ben blows a gasket.
Welcome to the Off-Road podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. I'm your host, Ben. I'm here with my co-host, Aaron, and Jeremy's off into the mythical nothingness. And welcome to the show. I love this music.
The Weekend Review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for the day or traveling on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. And while you're there, make sure you use Off-Road Podcast for 10% off.
Hey, Aaron, do you know what it's been? It's been 1 year.
It has since we brought them on as a sponsor, and they've been great. We appreciate having them as a sponsor, and hopefully the giveaways we've given away with their product, our listeners have appreciated what they've gotten as well.
Yeah, definitely, and they've got some really quality stuff, so definitely worth checking out. And
yep, I bought a lot of stuff from them, and in fact, just before we left for a camp trip, my wife sliced her finger open, and she used some not super glue, but like
derma glue,
something like that, to glue herself back up. So I was super proud of her doing that while I was gone, and she didn't have to wait for me to come home and play doctor.
Nice. That's always a bonus.
Yeah.
There we go. The butt is up. If you're wondering what I'm just referred to is Overland Radio's radio side is up. So
awesome.
Yep.
Tim Kilmer's in the house. He says, "Howdy, fellas. I'm glad to have you back." And Craig Cooper says, "I knew Tim would have the first comment, LOL." So glad to have you both in here.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm sure there's more people. I know there's more people listening. There's a few of you guys out there. So make sure you check in with us. Let us know who's out there listening.
Yeah, definitely. So, Aaron, what's new, man?
Well, I mentioned I went camping. Every year we do a family camp with extended family. So my family, so my wife and kids, my sister's family, her husband, her and her kids, my mom and her husband came, and then her husband's son and daughter-in-law. So we had however many people that makes, camping at a campsite in Central Oregon, a place called Little Cultus Lake. And it was a sweet campsite. My mom and sister did a great job picking it out. It's a place apparently they've been several times, and they knew the exact campsites to reserve. So we reserved them 6 months ago, and it was a sweet spot. It was right on the lake with its own little private beach area, which was sheltered from the winds, because every afternoon it would cool off and it would get windy until the sun went down. And it was a really nice shelter spot. Hey, Ben from South Dakota. Happy to have someone from one of the freest states in the nation listening to us. Yeah, so sweet camp spot. This one, because it's a paid campground with numbers, a place I'm rarely seen, I brought our 27-foot travel trailer. And so we were glamping. This is the first time I've used it dry camping, and that's actually only the second time I've ever used it. The first time I just took it on a test trip out to the coast and stayed in a place that had full hookups, water and power and sewer. So this is the first time doing it off grid, and I wanted to see how it worked for how much water we'd use and how much electricity we use. And we did amazing on the water. We did terrible on the electricity.
The electricity with the trailers is such a hard thing. Like,
yeah,
you have to have like 2 batteries, and then you can only pretty much run lights and fans.
Well, so here's the thing. It has a battery, and I need to look to see what it is to see if it's even a deep cycle. I'm pretty sure it's lead acid. I don't think it's AGM. But the first thing I did when I bought the trailer was I went around and replaced all the light bulbs with LED light bulbs because I figured the lights are going to go on. I want LEDs in there because they're going to draw a quarter of the power or whatever. So we did that. And so the only thing we used power this weekend was lights, and it was very, very little that we use lights. And then the pump, which pumps up water pressure in the tank. And once you reach water pressure, the pump shuts off, and it that's all we used. Beyond that, though, it has a radio in it, and you can turn the radio off, but it still has a display that's lit. I figured out how to shut the backlighting off on it, but it still has a clock and things like that. So I'm going to get into that wiring, cut the power wire, and just put a rocker switch somewhere nearby to feed it, so I can completely shut that off from draining power.
Yeah.
And then there's a carbon monoxide detector in there also that's run off of the house battery. And I'm going to rip that out and just put a battery powered one in that runs off of a 9-volt or 2 AA's or whatever they run off of. So
Yeah, the newer
that'll
ones
cut down
have
on some consumption.
displays, which is nice.
Yeah. But basically so I brought solar with me because I wanted to make sure I didn't have any issues. I had that fold up solar panel that I bought, 100 amp solar panel blanket thing that I
100
bought
watt, yeah.
on the app. Yep, on the Amazon Prime days. And I also brought 2 100 watt Harbor Freight panels that I got. Tim, you shut your mouth. He says he misses Jeremy already. I let my brother-in-law use the 100 watt blanket guy while I just use the 200 watt panels. And yeah, the solar panels are expensive. Tim says good gravy solar panels are expensive. I'm glad I got 2 of them for free and I only had to buy the third one.
Yeah, no,
But
and the nicer the solar panel, the more expensive it is. Like I was looking
yeah,
at the Australian solar blankets that are like 200 watts.
yeah.
Like $2,000.
Craig says that he saw Costco had 100 watt Coleman panel kits on sale last weekend. I need to make a trip to Costco because they also had these solar yard lights, which were like string lights, but with large light bulbs in them. And my sister brought that with her to use as her camp lights around her awning, and they did amazing all night long while we were outside. But long story short, I didn't use much power. The battery went from fully charged in the afternoon, like 13.7, down to 11.3 when I'd wake up in the morning. So either there's another draw somewhere else, I just don't know what it could be, or the battery's life isn't that good or something. So I got to look into it some more, disconnect those 2 things to confirm that. And oh, my wife is listening. She says, no Costco for you. Just give me the list. She does not like me going to Costco because apparently I'm not good with spending money at Costco.
Oh, same here.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff at Costco.
Yep, I get yelled at all the time whenever I go to the store.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a good thing that Costco's now over an hour away for us where we live now, so I don't get to go there very often. Yeah. So
Renogy
solar
good batteries for those. I'll show them to you.
Yeah. Later. Okay. Yeah. So I got to look into seeing if I need a new battery or what. I was talking to my uncle today about some lithium ion batteries, and he said, well, they're going to cost you $500 to $1,000 depending on how many amp hours you want for a lithium ion guy.
Well,
so
the cool thing is, like I mentioned on that solar episode I did, the lithium ion, the lipo batteries, the lithium iron phosphate batteries, they allow you to use the full battery. You can go 100. You can use 100% of the charge versus the other batteries are a lot less. So
yeah. So anyways, need to figure out my power usage. Otherwise, other than that, the trailer towed great. The truck did great. I got terrible fuel economy as expected. This trip, we didn't run premium. I talked about when we went to Colorado, I ran premium. This trip, I didn't run premium, and it was basically 500 miles round trip, 500 miles, or was it 300 miles? I think it was 300 miles round trip, and we got 10.2 miles to the gallon towing. I'm going to Christmas Valley in a week, not in a week, in a month, and we're going to be taking the exact same route to get there. Yeah, Tim, it is a F-150 with the 3.5 EcoBoost and a max tow package. I'm going to take basically the same route to get to Christmas Valley and home. So I'm going to run premium on that trip and see if it makes a difference. Going over the exact same pass, the same highway, the same freeway, all that same kind of condition. So we'll see if it changes up.
Do you have any seg in your rear end with a trailer
You in my truck or me personally?
in the truck?
A very little, because we got the hitch adjusted right and things like that. So it sags very little. I would like to probably get some airbags for it down the road if we do more and more towing. Airbags are an inexpensive, easy mod to do.
And if well, actually, realistically, if you don't have a ton of seg, you just have a little bit, you might be able to do something like the Timbren, the toe bump stops.
Oh, okay.
That because they're designed for towing to help you
Yeah.
stop sagging.
I forgot about those. Everybody's just always airbags. So that's just what was in my mind. So yeah, I'll have to look into those Timbrens. Those were nice. I loved when
And
they came on the
those are
show.
cheaper too.
Oh, okay.
Because I think 400 for the airbags.
Yeah.
Depending on what ones you go with.
Well, only other thing to talk about that I've done isn't really off-road related, but the day after we left town for our camp trip, further water restrictions were put on anybody who got water through the city of Yamhill. And so now we can't water anything outside, zero watering, including if you have a vegetable garden that provides food for your family. So thankfully, this past spring, I bought a bunch of 55-gallon drums and put them under my house and connected them all up. So I right now I'm sitting on about 160 gallons of water under the house, and so we're using that to keep our garden alive because we're eating the food. uh, we're eating the food, and it provides food for our family. It saves us money and stuff like that. So we're looking at ways that we can get water to water our garden from outside of the city's water supply that we're on. So
You
crazy
could do
things.
like a rain barrel kit where
Well, it's not raining.
well, I'm obviously right now that
Yeah.
doesn't work. But you could get in the future do rain barrel kits. You can
Yeah.
also get water delivered. I don't know
Yeah.
how.
I'm in lots of different community groups, and some people are watering or are delivering water to people. If I had a tank that I could transport it, the next town over is selling water for 11.5 bucks for 1,000 gallons. I just don't own 1,000-gallon tank, but there are some options. And then I'm hearing about my neighbor and stuff like has that stuff. So um it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
The school district sold some property to a developer, and they put in like 60 some odd houses, and they were told they had a water evaluation done because we get all of our water from a creek basically to feed the whole city. And they put it into a reservoir up in the mountains, and they said if you build that development, you're going to have water problems. And guess what? We have water problems, and people in town had said they've never ever had water problems ever. So Tim in the comment says, bring your garden inside, then take it back outside. We actually, while we were gone, we did put some of our front porch plants into our house to help them survive because it was over 100 again in Oregon. And it does say you can't water outside. So if we bring them inside and water them, then bring them back outside, we're following the rules technically, but we won't do that. He also says we don't have that problem, and we're in the desert. So I think Tim said last week he was in Arizona. You'd think Oregon has lots of water; it falls from the sky and all. Yeah, unfortunately, the entire town is provided by one creek, and actually, that creek flows behind my house, and it is the lowest we've ever seen it in since we've moved here 3 years ago. So, anyways, Ben, I heard you had to take a test. Did you pass?
Well, it depends upon how you want to call that test. So I did a block tester kit.
A block tester kit.
Yeah,
Is that to find out if you're good with Legos?
you pretty much. So you take this tube right here, you stick it on top of your radiator where your radiator cap goes. You fill it with this cool blue fluid right here, and
Whoa,
then
how many blocks can you test? That's a lot of fluid.
let's see, that is 16 ounces, and you only need like 4 ounces. So yeah, you can,
Oh,
or
so I guess you can do it 4 times then.
4 or 5 times, maybe more. It might be less. And then there's a little pump thing here. There we go. Kind of like pregnancy test. And you take this little pump thing right here. You stick it on top, pump it a
You
few
use
times.
those in a pregnancy test?
No, jeez, no. You got to find out if you've got another type of baby. And unfortunately, I passed the test and not the way I wanted to. I've got a picture here. The fluid turned green. So
Well,
that
isn't
is
your coolant green?
no, my coolant's pink. So
Uh-oh.
so that fluid reacts to CO2.
Hydrocarbons or something? Oh,
It
CO2.
reacts to CO2 in your radiator, which would mean I have a head gasket failure somewhere, and it's a combustion leak. So sometimes you'll see people blowing blue smoke. That's a head gasket, and it's going into the what part of the engine? Not the coolant line side. So yeah, I done foo barred up.
Comments here. Wow, so educational, someone says. And then this one says, as a 6.0 Ford owner, we just wait till the coolant comes out the exhaust. No fancy test needed.
Yeah, well, my forerunner is I'm blowing, I'm losing fluid. It's not going out the exhaust. It's coming out the reservoir. The it's pressurizing the reservoir and pushing the fluid out of it.
Yeah.
So yep, I'm getting. I have to do a new head gasket or two. I can't remember if mine's, yeah, it's two heads. So yeah. Unfortunately, that's my new fun. Fortunately enough, I do have the skills to do it. So I'm not going to pay someone $2,000 to do it because it's about $2,000 to do it.
$2,000?
Yeah, it's like 18.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah. Um. So yeah, that's my fun.
You could buy
Fortunately,
a low mileage engine for that and swap it in.
yeah. Well, the parts are only like $60 in parts. It's the labor. It's pretty labor
Yeah,
intensive.
that's true.
And then if my
That's
heads need to
true.
be resurfaced, though I'm fairly certain that that it's just the factory failure. It's pretty common, the O3s, the O6s of the head gasket failing right there. It's a weak head gasket. So I mean,
Do they
200
make better head gaskets so you can go
they
300,000?
they improve the head gasket later on.
That's
So
good.
I'll replace the head gasket. I'll call it good. But so as we're going through all of this, my wife's like, "This is gonna cost a lot of money." I'm like, "No, I'm doing the work. It's gonna cost a whole lot less money." She's like, "Maybe we should sell the Expedition, and we can use that towards regearing your Forerunner, because that was
What
another."
does what does regearing your Forerunner have to do with fixing the head gasket?
The Forerunner was struggling up Snoqualmie Pass, so that's why we haven't been wanting to take it camping when we go up the pass with the trailer. And I'm like, well, I
Okay.
need regear because I've got bigger wheels. Well, part of it, this is how I read. I had fluid. I had with the combustion leak. I saw it came out. Um, I had fluid coming out on the pass. So I was like, is this engine, or is this I'm just overheating my engine or not seeing it, or what? Um, and I was like, well, I definitely need to put less strain on the engine. So regearing it would help. And I
Yeah.
had that conversation with her, like, I need to regear sooner or later. This has been in the plans, especially when I go to 35s.
Apparently, Craig must be a longtime listener. because he says it costs less, but it's going to take you 3 years to do the work.
Probably.
and he says he assumes she'll get some used ones at the pick and pull. I'm sure Ben will buy brand new gaskets.
Oh, I've got a parts account. I can get them cheap.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
the wife said that I could re-gear too if we sell the Expedition. And if I'm re-gearing,
Okay.
I'm getting lockers too. I said if I'm re-gearing, I'm doing lockers at the same time. So
Phil Gregg says make sure you go Yukon lockers. And Tim says he's back and he still misses Jeremy. Not enough Jeep love in here right now. So okay, let's talk Jeeps for a minute. So minivan motors, broken axles, leaks from when they rain, soft tops. What else Jeep talk are we supposed to do?
roll, if you can read this, roll me over.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Craig says he's been listening since the beginning. Phil says there's an ARB front on Marketplace right now for $800. You should grab that.
My cost is cheaper unless it's a complete front.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's installed, that's the way to go. Like I got super lucky with the front diff in my Nissan that locker was already in the Titan, and it was awesome.
Phil, go ahead and message me that one. You know how to message me, Phil.
Yeah. Real quick, Tim says I might have missed it, but is the engine okay? No, he's got a blown head gasket just to catch you up because you stepped away to unload groceries. Yeah, he's got a blown head gasket. He's going to need to change gaskets. He's going to just buy gaskets.
Combustion, boom, boom, bad. So yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Well, I don't. How much is your Expedition worth? Is she saying that you can get lockers and gears, or you sell it and you get every ounce of money out of it to spend on your forerunner for lights? Also,
I would get lockers and gears, and I'd probably have to spend some of my own like play money for lockers. But
okay,
I mean, considering I can buy all the parts it cost, and then I might be able to take it to like John Matthews to re-gear for me. We'll see.
Yeah.
And I mean the joy with the Forerunners or the Toyotas is the way the differential comes out. I don't have to pull the whole axle to re-gear it. I can just pull the center diffs out, or the centers out and take them in.
Yes.
So it's a whole lot easier.
And so I don't know much about that. I do understand how solid axles work, and after you do that, you have to shim it properly, left and right. So I don't. Is that an issue?
I don't know. I'll find out from Matthews. I'll talk to him.
Brent apparently is bidding on your. He said $1. He's bidding on your Expedition. So.
Yep. Tim apparently misses being able to drop his Jeep off with John and walk to work.
Yeah. John is a great mechanic, and he's got good guys, and he knows what he's doing. When I lived up in that area, I brought my rig to him also.
Yeah, when it's something I don't want to deal with, I generally take it to John, especially when it's inside the engine.
Yep.
Hey guys, we're looking to reach more listeners. We're going to start reading Apple iTunes reviews on air. If you hear yours, send us a message with your address, and we'll send you an Off-Road Podcast sticker. You can find all of our social media by just searching our name. Now, go hit that subscribe button.
That reminds me, I got to get a sticker out. We heard from somebody right before I left for camping, and I didn't send him a sticker yet. So I set one out. Here we go. Here's your sticker. You know who you are. I'll get this sent off to you right away.
Yep.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month.
So I did get my sticker and my patch and my bonus sticker.
Your Agent Krabby Crabs.
Yeah, I took it to work. My boss tried to steal it from me. She's like, I like that.
Yeah, that's a great one. And just for fun, I'll showcase this patch, the Flugaloo patch. It's a great one. I love that guy.
Should add that one to my collection.
Will?
The news is brought to you by Power Tank, the ultimate mobile onboard air system for performance, versatility, and reliability. They are your source for all air-related accessories. Check them out at powertank.com.
And Tim here said that he still needs to put his sticker on his Jeep. He'll do that in the morning and tag us and do that. I love when we get tagged by listeners. Really
Yeah, I'll look for that tag. Hopefully he'll say something nice about us this time. All right. Well, in the news here, the first story is about Toyota celebrating the Land Cruiser's 70th birthday with a retro 70 series model. So, as far as I understand, I think they're still making the 70 series. Oh, that's the wrong article, Ben.
Oh, yep. Stupid screen. I was trying to get it on the bigger screen.
Gotcha. So they're going to make only 600 of these 70 series, which the 70 series is only a 37-year-old Land Cruiser version. But they're going to sell 600 of them. Let's see here. They're going to make 320 double cabs, 200 single cabs, and 80 wagons. So apparently the trucks are more popular than the SUV form, which they call as a wagon. They're only selling them in Australia. And it's going to be like 61,000 American for a double cab, 59,100 for a single cab, which that's crazy. Is that they're it's only $1,000 or $1,900 cheaper to get a single cab than a double, and 57,900 for the wagon model. So I think the wagon's pretty hot looking. I would probably like to get a wagon, but then again, when they've got the double cab ute looking one with the bed on the back, that's also pretty neat. So
That's my jam right there. Those are my favorites.
Yeah. So the picture Ben is showing right now is the updated interior, which apparently the 70 series has always come with a really bland interior. So it's coming with, it says it's first time it's ever been available with this. It's got leather upholstery, imitation wood, silver accents, newly designed center console with cup holders and a pair of USB ports.
Nice.
And then it mentions special edition logos inside and out add a finishing touch to the look. Now you're looking at this picture, Ben. They're only selling this in Australia. What's wrong with this picture?
The side of where the steering wheel is at, right? Shouldn't it be on the other side for those weird upside down people?
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it's rendered that way or what the deal is, because I would kind of expect if it's in Australia, the steering wheel has to be on the wrong side. So yeah, it's only going to be sold in a manual. It comes with a 4.5 liter turbo diesel V8 that's 202 horsepower, 370 foot-pounds of torque. It says they're not making any modifications or any mechanical modifications to it. But it probably doesn't need anything because it comes with a snorkel, low range gearing, locking front and rear differentials, and a 7,700 pound towing capacity. So
yeah, well, it's got the 4.5 liter turbo diesel. Like I would, if I could engine swap my forerunner with that, do it right now. I'd be like, well, save myself some pain. And
well, I don't know if this is really the right engine because it's only got 202 horsepower and 317 foot-pounds of torque. So it's got like 70 less horsepower than your engine, and it does have like 70 more foot-pounds of torque. So it's kind of a win-lose situation, but I would anticipate that you could crank up the fuel in it somehow and
fuel economy.
Get some better. You definitely would probably get better fuel economy. So, yeah, I think it's a cool looking rig. The grill says Toyota on it rather than having a Toyota emblem, which is also kind of something that's different. And
that's been really popular with the what is it? The TRD versions have that now. I think
Yeah.
where it says Toyota.
Yep. And then it's got blacked out headlights as part of it. It only comes in 3 colors: red, white, and sand color. Although I can't find where it had the color names, but oh, here we go.
That sand.
French
Oh,
vanilla, Merlot red, and sandy taupe. So that sand, if you look at the screen right now, that and your Forerunner look the same.
so I've got fancy 70 series sand
That's
versus
it.
baby crap yellow. There we go. We
Yeah. We're going to start calling it sandy taupe, Ben.
sand taupe.
Ben's.
That's what we're calling.
Yep. So I think it's a cool looking rig. If I was wealthy and could afford one and they sold them in the United States, because I'm not moving to Australia, I'd love to spend time down there, but I don't want to live there. I'd probably buy one of these. I know $61,000 is a lot of money. That's way more than the Jeep truck.
Yeah.
I'd willing to bet that this would maybe not necessarily outwheel it, but it's definitely going to last a lifetime compared to the Jeep truck, which is going to wear out and you're going to have to continue to chase it with parts and stuff like that. Tim, I absolutely would get in a fight with a kangaroo. I'd love to box a kangaroo.
Don't we all want to box kangaroos? I thought
Yeah.
isn't that
Maybe
like
I'm
time sport?
I don't think actually I probably would be terrible at boxing a kangaroo, but I would definitely like to chase one down or jump on one's back and see if I could body slam one.
This week we get complaints about Aaron body slamming kangaroos. Oh yeah, Dan Grech did, huh? I just saw that post.
I didn't know that. Interesting. Well, but I would, and Dan takes good care of his Jeeps and maintains them really well and is really good about it. And I don't think he wheels Jeeps like Jeep owners wheel Jeeps for the most part, not including mall crawlers. Jeep owners are one of the most hardcore guys out there besides like first gen Toyota guys who buy the $3,000 Toyotas and put huge tires and cut their fenders with sawzalls and they just beat the snot out of them. Those two guys are probably the hardest core groups out there, but Dan Grech will take good care of it and it'll last him well. So anyways, our next story here is someone got their Ram TRX stuck underwater at an off-road park. So the Ram TRX is not a submarine.
What? It's not?
That's the PSA for today. The TRX is not a submarine.
The Hellcat is waterproof. Just
no, it will suck water in the intake just like any other engine. It doesn't matter. So there's not very many pictures on this. And there is absolutely no backstory, but it doesn't look like it needs a backstory. Someone just tried to do a water crossing that is way too deep for a rig without a snorkel. And we hope they have good insurance because they're going to need it.
Yeah, especially when the price tag on the TRX it can reach upwards of $90,000. Ouch.
Yeah. Yep.
Ouch.
So yeah. Oops. I wonder if you'd have to put because it's 702 horsepower. I wonder if you'd have to put dual snorkels on it to let it get enough airflow into the intake.
Or have like a 5-inch snorkel tube on it.
Yeah, a giant tube. So Craig apparently is sad we don't have any Bronco news this week. There was some Bronco news I thought about talking about. I can just give you the headline of it right now. So apparently Ford is going to be replacing all the paint matched hard tops that people are having problems with, no questions asked. So we talked a couple weeks ago about people having issues with their hard tops, and Ford's just going to get them replaced. And that's just putting production even farther behind. And if you had a Bronco on order that you were expecting this year and you haven't heard anything about it, you're probably not getting it until next year. So that's your Bronco news for the week.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Well, I figured this would be the perfect time since Jeremy's not here to talk about, his lockers and all that cool stuff because lights are so much more cool, right, guys? So I'm gonna start this off because this was a requested episode with swipe a disclaimer that laws for lighting are not universal. So please look into your local laws before lighting up your rig, especially when it comes to emergency lighting and even off-road lighting. So yes, please look into your local laws because laws for me here are different for you there. Even if you're in Washington,
Send it.
some laws are how you read them can be very confusing, kind of like doors here
Yeah.
for Jeeps, because it all depends upon the cop you get. So
Sometimes, yep.
so for me, I'm gonna say what I've got right here. I've got amber flashing lights all the way around. I've got I'm allowed 4 white lights facing forward on at one time. So my headlights, two headlights, 2 fog lights, 2 headlights, 2 auxiliary lights. But there's a lumen
Two
limit.
two head two headlights, 2 high beams.
Yep, 2 headlights, 2 high beams.
If
So if you have
if
a
your
Toyota,
headlights, yeah, if your headlights aren't the same as your high beams, if it's a different bulb, then that counts as 4.
yep. This, all right, the screen's not working for me here. I'm allowed four white facing headlights along with amber lights up front. In the back, I'm allowed red lights for stopping, running lights, and turn signals.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's like what I'm allowed. Can't run underglow lighting. Can't run some other lighting. I can't remember. Something I
And what
don't
you're talking about though is on the street. So if
on the
you're on the trail, if you're
on the
on a trail
trail.
that isn't a actual road, if it's a trail, you can do whatever you want. You can run that underglow.
Yeah, but Tim, that's lights on running at one time. So I have
Yeah.
a lot more lights on facing forward that are not on.
Yep.
So what I wanted to talk about here because it was requested for SAR lighting. So you've got lighting flash patterns. So you've got hideaway lightings. Those are like lights that are tucked into where you would drill into like a headlight housing. You have wigwag lighting, which is side to side flashing, random directional. So it'd be like lights pointing towards the direction, or just an on and off hazard, or you'll have like the rotating,
Yeah.
which would be like those old school cones, like you'll see on uh, what dump trucks and
Starsky and Hutch.
yeah. I'm trying to think. Like city light trucks and all that where they have like it's just like an orange cone on top with a light rotating around in there so you see the
Yeah.
flash rotating. Not so much common for the LEDs anymore.
So this is the one that replaced it. Strobe lighting.
Strobes, yeah.
We back in the day when I worked at the lumber yard and we had trucks, we had the actual spinning guys, and the motors would burn out and the light bulbs would burn out, and eventually they came out with the LED strobe light. Actually, they weren't LED at first. They were some crazy like an HID weirdo bulb or something. And
Well, you can use it with like an incandescent, or is it incandescent? A halogen where it just flashes in a strobe pattern. You just need a strobe.
yeah.
Um, what's it called? Like a relay to strobe it. So yeah.
Yeah. Tim says we missed rave lighting. So I'm assuming he's talking about glow sticks. I haven't been to a rave ever.
Nope.
So Yeah, yeah. So strobes are another thing,
Yep.
and strobe is also a pattern. So even if you don't have like a specific strobe light, your lights can do a strobe pattern. So
Yeah, so like I have mine are all kind of just a random hodgepodge for strobes. It's like a strobe wig, like my front lights and my back lights. The my ditch lights up front are wig along with my the ones that are my backup lights have a wig pattern as well. And then the ones all along the roof rack are just random. They've got 8 different patterns to choose from. But syncing all those patterns together are just a pain in the butt, so I chose not to.
gotcha.
I just set them where I was like, "Oh, this will work," because I've got 360 degrees of lighting. So
Yeah.
wherever I'm sitting, you should be able to see them. And then I'll talk
Are
about
there
additional lighting I
are
have.
there are there people who like get really nerdy into this kind of stuff, and they want a pattern for different
Yeah,
things? So if you're
yeah.
on the side of the road, you use one pattern. If you're doing search and rescue stuff, driving through the forest, you use a different pattern, stuff like that.
Um, I guess it depends upon the person. So like I've got like a hazard light. I have obviously my vehicle hazard lights. But then I'll have just my back and front lights, because they're on the same switch, turn on for those hazards. That way, if I pull over, those turn on, and you don't have the side ones that kind of add an additional distraction. Kind of like how you've seen police cars nowadays. I don't know if in your area they've changed how the lights are, so you don't have the really bright flashing lights as you're driving up from behind them. You have a directional light telling you to get away from
Yes.
them,
Yeah.
which is for their safety. So like I try and not do super crazy bright lights. Um, yeah, Brendan Powell, the SAR pins.
SAR pins. Yeah.
He is a super nerd. Because he's got. I mean, you can get units like a Phoenix system, I think is how you pronounce it. Where you can wire in all your lights, and then it controls how they flash, and you can have
Hmm.
them all. Yeah, SAR pins. The dude is a nerd. See
A
some
good nerd.
additional. He is a good nerd. I love the dude. Some additional lighting would be like ditch lights. Um, for searching, obviously aimed towards ditches so that you can see down into them. It kind of gives you a wider range of focus with your lighting. Side lights, um, and dispersal. I'll talk about that later. But that's to light up the side of your vehicles out into the woods. A solid, strong, fat flashlight to use. Like it used to be one you'd have to have attached to your vehicle to kind of spotlight out where you want to look.
Like the
But
old cop teardrop lights that were on their front
yeah,
fender.
and you can get lights or light bars that directionally light up areas. But
Uh-huh.
realistically, with flashlight technology today, a good solid flashlight, not a cheap mag light, a good solid flashlight will light up way far enough for you to be searching around in the woods.
I've seen on like the security companies that you hire to watch your property. They drive around like in a Ford Escape or something, and they've got a light on the very top of their cab that's remote control operated, and it's a really bright one. So it kind of replaces that whole cut a hole in your A pillar and have that weirdo arm coming through that you got to wiggle around and know exactly how to
Mhm.
operate it. So
Yeah, they're pretty solid. They're pretty cool. I like your comment here, Tim. Solid flashlight for beating your children. I mean, looking for things. Yes. And then some backup lights. Obviously, if you're drive like for me, if I'm driving around, I'm looking for someone. I've got lights looking forward. Well, what if they wander out behind me? Right? I should be able
Mhm.
to see them in
Yeah.
my mirror. So I turn on all the lights.
So hang on. How do you turn on your backup lights if you're not in reverse?
So mine are wired independently of my backup. Um,
Okay, all right.
because they
So
sit up
if you
so high. They're
yeah,
up on my roof rack, not down low in my
okay.
bumper. If they were down low in my bumper, I would have them wired into that, and I'll probably leave those ones wired into my roof rack. And then when I get an aftermarket bumper, I'll have some that are wired into my backup. But I'll also have have them wired into the same switch as the other backup ones.
Okay.
And I'll just make sure that I have a dot. a diode that
Yes,
stops it
yes.
from feeding back into the harness and burning
Yep.
stuff up.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I did with my truck. I added a rocker switch in the cab that would send power to my backup lights, um, that I installed in my aftermarket bumper, and so that I could turn those on and blind the tailgaters. But I mean, help find a good spot to back into for camping. And so I had to put a diode between those lights and the backup lights that would also feed it. And then I also had to put a diode between the rocker switch and the reverse lights, because when I would put my truck in reverse, I didn't think about this one, but when I put my truck in reverse, um, the backup lights would backfeed and then illuminate my rocker switch, which was in the off position. So I had to
Mhm.
use a third. I had to use a third diode. So, and
I've
I, s- I struggled finding good information on how big of a diode to use. Um, I feel like you can't go too big, but you can go too small. So,
yeah. I've really been I used to have a diagram saved for wiring in with a diode to where for the switch, but you'd use a three-way switch. So you'd have it, you turn it on, you have an off position, and then you have it off even when your backup lights are on. And
oh, I see. If you don't want it to come on,
yeah, that way if you've
Hmm.
got some really bright lights and you don't want to blind someone when you're backing
eh,
into a mall parking spot or a grocery
meh,
store,
just
which
send
I
it.
mean, uh,
It's
I'm of
only
the
on
mind.
for 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'm of the
You're
mind that I don't need that, but just for extra fun wiring. I don't know. I like wiring
gotcha.
like that.
Someone, a YouTube listener called Jeremy Dyer, says next time Ben's wiring burns up his forerunner.
Nope, I use fuses and relays. I'm smart.
Good.
I just, blow head gaskets. So let's talk some light dispersal, and I need to find this diagram real quick, but
Well, so there's different types of light dispersal. We didn't mention in additional lights for searching. I think we should have, but like some auxiliary lights on your front bumper. You've got ditch lights, side lights, a flashlight, and backup light, but you didn't really mention anything forward facing other than the ditch lights. So
yeah,
auxiliary lights will help with that, and auxiliary lights come in different light dispersal patterns, as well as your side lights, your backup lights, and your ditch lights. Um, Spotlights are going to be really common for auxiliary lights facing forward,
yeah.
because you don't need spotlights send out a thin, like, pencil beam, so you can see a long distance away.
I've got a
Y-
picture here if I can
You
find it.
don't need that for ditch lights or side lights or backup lights. You don't need a pencil beam. That's only going to generally be for shooting forward. So there we go. That's a great photo.
So
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 that
uh
the second one down is showing the spotlight, which is what we're talking about here.
and actually I do like a spotlight for ditch lights because then it's not spreading it out too far. Because your lights for your headlights shine in front. You turn your wow. You turn your ditch lights far enough and angle them down low enough that you're lighting up next to you. So it's widening your driving beam. If you do a flood, it's just going to spread all that light out and it's going to disperse really quickly. And with your wow, your ditch lights turned sideways enough, it's going to light off into the woods farther.
Hmm.
That's my thought process on it. Obviously, everyone's going to do what they want, how they want to do it, right?
Yeah.
So hybrid is kind of a mix between spot and flood. A driving beam is going to be like a headlight beam, aimed. It's got a cut off. It's going to cut it off, but if it's aimed properly, before it goes into someone's windshield, which people
Yeah.
do not like to do. A
Hmm.
flood beam is a lot like that high beam type deal. off-road beam, but it spreads it everywhere. It's going to
Yeah.
disperse a lot quicker.
Yeah,
Um,
you don't get the distance with a flood, but you get all that close up lighting. So that would be something you're using when you're driving
yeah,
slower. You wouldn't necessarily like Baja racers, they probably have flood beams, but they rely more on their
spot.
spotlights because you're doing 100 miles an hour through the desert at nighttime. You're going to outrun your floodlights.
And here's kind of an idea. So, like, a spot's going to shine so much farther ahead. A combination, which is like that hybrid, it's going to give you a lot of light close and also shoot some out farther.
Hmm.
Um, a regular flood, you're not going to get as far, but it's going to give you a lot of light up front. Your driving beams are pretty wide, but not shooting as far. And then scene lighting is kind of like flood lighting, but it lights up a lot of area. Um,
I would call that like a work light. Would
yeah,
be like a
yeah, work
scene
light.
light where you're stopped. These might be the lights that you use to light up your camp also when you're setting up camp after dark.
Yeah.
Um, so
And then obviously you've got the fog lights, which are and I'll have these picture if you're listening and you're kind of confused what we're talking about. Pictures will be in the show notes. Your fog beam is like a low light that's aimed at the ground so that the light, whatever light diffuses up through the fog, kind of helps you see better.
yeah, you don't really want to run a lot of light into the fog. The fog lights are meant to go under and right to the ground in front of you.
Yeah. So yeah, also I should mention some flasher relays. So if you're upgrading like your vehicle lights to a flashing like an LED flasher, you can get hyper flash, and you can use flasher control modules to fix that. Or you can jump it up a notch and use like a Diode Dynamics smart tap flash. And mine actually allows me to use a wig pattern for my hazard lights that I can also speed up and slow down with a flick of the switch. A huge shout out to Aaron Kravik for turning me on to that because it was an awesome mod. Because realistically, if I don't have any of my SAR lighting, I still have some optional SAR lighting available to me for me through this smart tap device, which will light up front and back. And realistically, if your flashers work properly, should be 360-degree visible, which is
Yeah,
kind of the important thing. Hopefully, I can't remember who requested this episode.
I
They
can't
got the
remember
right one.
either, but why why do you SAR guys think you need all this flashing light business? What benefit is it to have a bunch of flashing lights on your truck? I'm
Visibility.
I'm I'm being a little silly, but I'm also curious, you know.
To me, it's visibility. Like if I'm out looking for someone and they're lost, and if they see some flashing lights somewhere, that might help direct them to come towards us. Even if
Okay.
I pass them, there might be someone coming behind me, or I might be going down a dead end trail and I'm going to turn back around and I'm going to see them. Um, or it's safety. If I pull over on the side of the road to help someone change their tires, I can turn on the lights and
Yeah.
hopefully that's going to attract someone's attention and I'm not going to get hit. Because the last thing I want to get hurt, the last thing I want is to get hurt helping someone.
I get
And
I get that part, and
by
it makes
another
sense
stranger.
for in town or on the highway or freeway and stuff. You want to make yourself as visible as possible. So
Yeah, and in the woods, making yourself as visible as possible. Because I mean, through my experience with search and rescue, a lot of it's urban. It's not as much going in the woods looking for people. There's a ton of urban searching. Grandmas like to wander away from care facilities. Children
so
like
are
to
you
wander away from their parents.
are you driving around Bonnie Lake with your lights flashing,
No,
hoping
no, not
grandma will approach you?
nope, not lately. I haven't looked for grandma. I haven't been on a search for a while. It's been
I know, but if you're in town, would you be using this kind of
yeah.
setup at all, or are you just
So
driving
so when
around?
I was doing the evacuating for the fires last year, I had
That's a little different, evacuating people, but if you're
no,
searching for
no. Well,
somebody.
they were already evacuated. Most people were evacuated. I was driving around patrolling the neighborhoods with my flashing lights,
Hmm.
so that if someone saw me, they saw I have a magnet that goes on the sides that says Pierce County Search and Rescue.
Sure.
So they'll see a flashing vehicle. Well, okay, who's that? They can see who it is.
No, that makes sense, but if there's not a countywide emergency or citywide emergency and you're just driving around looking for grandma, I would assume you're not driving around with all your hazards flashing.
Well, it depends. If I'm moving slow, like if I'm driving down a neighborhood, a street where it's 40, but I'm looking for someone, I'm not going to be driving down that street at 40 miles an hour. I'm going to be moving slower, so I'm looking. So
Okay.
it's going to help protect me and my vehicle from getting hit because someone's not paying attention. Hopefully, that'll help
I'll
them pay attention more.
I'll buy that for $1. That works.
Yep. I mean, there's reasons to run them. Lots of reasons not to run them. Doing it legally is the important thing. Like if I'm not on a
Sure.
mission, I'm not going to be running those lights down the street trying to get someone to move out of the way. That's illegal, and that'll get you arrested.
Yeah, I've seen those videos on YouTube.
Yeah, don't pretend to be a cop. Yeah, so
Impersonating a cop.
yep. So like for my county, we're only allowed amber. We're not allowed flashing white and amber. Only amber. And I think that's a whole statewide mandate. So
Yeah. No, it makes sense because you're not the police.
nope.
And flashing amber is still going to get people's attention.
Yep, flashing amber does more than enough to get attention, all the attention I need.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
mean, my forerunner does more than enough to get people's attention too. It's not every day you see a taupe, desert taupe forerunner driving down the road.
Was it no, sandy taupe. Sandy taupe.
Taupe. Oh, there we go. Sandy
That's
taupe forerunner.
that sounds like some lady's name from Great Britain. My name is Sandy Taupe.
Well, yeah, I think that
Yeah.
about wraps it up. If anyone has any episode requests, go ahead and message them to us.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we can
We
do
don't
to
always we don't always get to them the soonest. This one has been waiting in the wings for a while. We've just had some interviews and trip reports and things like that we're getting out. So
yeah, it's nice when we can have some shows planned out a month or two in advance. And so yeah, if you guys have any requests, send them in. We will do our best to honor them in our fashion. If we can't honor it, we will get someone on to help us with that. Definitely not afraid to bring on someone cool onto the show. We've made some really good friends. We know a lot of people, and they know a lot of things.
And we're trying to do more listener rides. We've had quite a few requests for that kind of stuff, and like I was mentioning, we've just been busy with lots of other episodes that those have gone by the wayside. So we're trying to pick those back up again. If you're a listener and you want to do a listener ride with us, hit us up. Especially if you've got something weird. It's fun to talk about weird stuff. Everybody's got a forerunner. Lots of people have JKs. Let's talk about something weird. We got any listeners out there that have a Suzuki? Now I can't think of what it is. The Sidekick, but it was the 2-door version. Not I'm sorry, the 2-seat version, the no back seat one. No, it was like a Sidekick, but it didn't have a back seat. Oh, the X90, I believe, the Suzuki X90. So if you got one of those, hit us up. I want to hear about you wheeling that. So,
and Kevin, we are working on some group trips here soon. Listener trips.
yeah,
I think we're looking at the beginning of the year of next year.
mm-hmm.
It's just our
We're
schedules are slammed.
Yeah, pretty full up with a lot of stuff, but we do want to do some more community trips, inviting listeners out to come wheel with us and show us how terrible we are. So
yeah, I love people showing me up. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks again to everyone who's listening live and checking us out on YouTube and on Facebook. We appreciate you guys. We love all the comments, except from Tim. No, Tim, you're great. We love your comments too, keeping us on our toes. So make sure you share us. Here we go. Red 92 says, I had a Suzuki Jimny. So apparently, he says he's from Ireland. Awesome. Glad to have you listening from Ireland. I'd love to hear about a Suzuki Jimny and if you modified it. So reach out to us if you think that you'd like to come on our show. Unfortunately, for our time, I don't know what time it is in Ireland right now, but it's probably like I'm going to guess it's 2:00 in the morning. I really have no idea. It's probably really early.
Maybe it's like 5. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, reach out to us. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you're sharing us with your friends and helping us grow. And God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren and Power Tank to see all of their great gear. We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a question or comment? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.tv or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com, Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe and courteous, and thanks for listening.
Hey, Aaron, guess what? Gotta turn off.
Show me your flashers.
Show your flash.